Let's face it, there's only so much work that you can squeeze into a day, no matter how hard you try. It doesn't mean that you've hit the ceiling on your business. It just means that you have to approach things a little differently. Ryan has 41 online clients and works 35 hours per week with in person clients. Add in his newborn, and it's safe to say that Ryan has no time left to give. But he still wants to grow his business. Jonathan helps Ryan figure out how to trim back his in person clients while keeping his favorite ones, and how to add more online clients without being personally responsible for each one. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Ryan, man, you are up. Thanks for your patience here. And Ryan, you know the drill, dude. Who you are, who you help, and what we're talking about today.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I work as a in-person trainer in Chicago. And then with my online community, I help ex-athletes lose weight and boost energy without giving up their favorite foods like pizza or alcohol. I've been training since about 2011. My background is I worked as a D1 college strength and conditioning coach for almost 10 years. And while I was doing that, I actually started doing some online training around 2014. So I've been doing a little bit here for basically the last 10 years. And then I started reading your stuff probably around 2018, 2019. I signed up for OTA, and that led me to this. And it's just been like a path that I've been able to grow on ever since. So it's been really cool to see that evolution.
Cool. Yeah, you've been hanging around. For a while. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it.
So what are we talking about here, man?
Yeah, and I think a lot of common themes between myself and Forrest and Kaylee. I think it's like the path of growing me to the next level and
Yeah.
scalability. So like, I've digested a lot of the stuff that you've talked about over the years. And, I think I've really understood that people buy the trainer and not the training or like not what you're selling. And I built myself up to have 41 online clients. I still work 35 hours a week of in-person training. So like I'm working a lot. I still love it. It energizes me, but I am ready for like that next level of still growing, but like not having as much a foot into the business. So I think it's like, how do I continue to grow what I'm doing when it's been me selling myself
Right.
and now start selling like what I'm actually doing for other people.
What's your concern?
I mean, I think my concern right now is that I'm gonna like, I find that I don't want to get like too busy and I can't like help all these people.
Okay. You've got 35 hours in person, you said?
Yeah.
41 clients online.
Yeah.
So you're not sleeping.
I have a newborn also, but that's been
Oh, good.
improvement. So
Okay. Well, that's good. It's good. Just add that to the pile. What do you love? I mean, what aspect of this do you love? This is something that's common with people who work in fitness, I think, is just sheer work ethic. And that's a good
yeah.
thing, but it also kind of gets us into trouble a little bit. So what aspects of what you're doing do you really love? And this is a very open-ended question on purpose because I want to know what your first reaction is.
I think my first reaction is just like the aspect of like helping people. It's not even the aspect of like delivering, service in person, but like, getting that text come through that I just helped somebody lose 10 pounds and that person's been struggling with that for the last 3 years. So maybe it's like solving that problem for that person or getting them over that hump that they've been facing for all this time.
Do you need to be the one to solve that problem, or do you need to just feel some responsibility or celebrate it?
I think I probably feel a lot of responsibility for that. Like I find myself getting emotionally like wrapped up in, like these client stories. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to be the person who like helps you out with this. I mean, I would probably be fine if I can find somebody else who can deliver the service alongside of me. I just haven't really approached that yet.
But it's valuable to know what aspect of this really fills you up, because you don't want to lose that. a lot of the time when people bring on somebody else to work for them, what they find is that, yeah, they're able to delegate, which is great, but they lose the thing that they love. You know, in Kaylee's example, I don't like based off of what she was saying, she shouldn't leave in person completely. Like that fills her up. And I think that it's a misconception that just because you're online, you should be totally online. With you, Ryan, the idea of just being there when somebody wins, I think is so special. But it doesn't mean that you need to be the one that got them the win. It means that you need to have some responsibility and be able to celebrate that win, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's valuable. And I'll tell you, I'm going to spin back around later on in our conversation of where that might come into play. In person, you've got 35 hours. Is that something you want to keep doing? Is that something you want to tailor down? Is that something you want to give away completely? Where's your head out with that?
Yeah, and I still really enjoy in-person training. I think realistically, somewhere between like 20 to 25 hours a week would probably be like a sweet spot for me.
Okay. Well, that's easy. Did you ever read the article that I did? I think I called it the block system because I'm terribly creative with names. I think I called it the block system way back when, of how I cut down my clientele when I started to build up my stuff online.
I don't know if I have.
This was a long time ago, but basically, I mean, I had like 40 some hours a week. And then I cut it down to 25, and then I cut it down to 15, and then I eventually stepped away completely. But that process was like a year, right? It wasn't that quick. And what I did when I had 40 to 25 was I categorized my clients. Call them ABC clients, gold, silver, bronze, whatever you want to call them. Basically, your gold clients are people who you love to train and they're doing well. You've probably been training them for a while. You have rapport. It feels like you're hanging out with a buddy. When it's time for them to renew their sessions, their packages, it's just like, yo, you're up. They're like, cool, run the card. Like it's just it's seamless, right? Of course, I mean, people miss sessions, but they're reliable. They're at their sessions. They have their times. They have their slots, right? So those are your gold clients. You put those right first. Your silver clients are people who you like to train. You really get along with. You think that they have potential to do well, or they're doing well, but they're maybe not as reliable, or you're not quite sure that they're going to be around for the long term. You know, every time it's time to renew, they're like, yeah, they're going to go for this. Right? And then your bronze clients are, and let's be honest, we all always have one or two of them, are just people that are kind of a drag on you. You like them as a person, but if they weren't your client anymore, you wouldn't be that upset. I don't know why, but at any point in time, I always had one of those. And it was always one, and it was never more than one. And when that person left, it was always another one. And I don't know why that was. And so all that I did was I took the gold clients and I looked at where they fit in the schedule. And I said, cool, those are going to be the blocks that I train. I'm basically going to build my new schedule that's going to be smaller in tighter blocks around these clients. And so any of those clients, if maybe they didn't fit in the block, I basically said to them, hey, I'm condensing my schedule. I'd love to still work with you. I'm not going to be working with everybody, but I'd love to still work with you. And you offer them the slots that are available within those blocks that you've already established. For me, what I did is I still worked full days, Monday, Wednesday. And then I did mornings, Tuesday, Thursday. And then Saturdays, I kept for my overflow Saturday mornings for people who missed that week or whatever it was. So that's how I condensed, instead of like full days every day. That's how I went from 40 to 25. And then my silver clients, I basically prioritized them, like I ranked them, right? And I went down that list one by one, and whatever slots were still available in those blocks that I already established I wanted to train, I offered them whatever was available. And if they couldn't take it, I referred them to another trainer. And I was fortunate that I worked at a gym. Basically, there was 5 of us. And we're all still very close. And all of us are still in the fitness industry. And this is like 15 years ago. So that shows you just how good this group was. It was very lucky. But I referred them to somebody else. And so I fill up those blocks. And then the bronze clients, I just referred to another trainer. Like I didn't even try to fill them. That was how I cut down my clientele in person from 40 to 25. And then when it was time to work with 15 to cut it down again, at that point, the writing was on the wall where the online stuff was starting to build up. Like people could see it. And I was actually sharing, I was traveling a lot at that time. I was starting to speak, but I was also attending events. So I was gone a lot. So I was actually sharing all of my clients at that point with other trainers. So they were my clients, but I was already basically teaming up with at least 1, if not 2 other trainers to work with them. And it was my programming and stuff like that. And so when it was time to cut down to 15, I basically went through the process again and gave away 15. Then it was time to step away. They were already comfortable with other trainers and it was seamless. Can you visualize already kind of how this might go down? I can see, the chat, but both Paula, Jacqueline, both of you are just like, I'm going to do this. Can you kind of visualize this, Ryan?
Yeah. As you're going through it, I could be like, all right, this person's gold, this person's silver.
100%.
That person's out.
Like nobody wants to admit it, but like we all know.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice way to cut down to 25. And you might be able to, the question that I always get with this is, when you did this, John, did you charge money to other trainers, right? Did you take a cut of their sessions? And I didn't. To me, it just wasn't worth it. I want to make sure these people are looked after. That's the only important thing. You might decide to bring on, call it like an assistant Ryan coach, to work for you. If there's somebody who you really love, who you work with that's coming up in the game, maybe, if you can work at that arrangement. But I did not do that at the time. I did get commission. For years, I got pretty decent commissions from referring overload of clients. But when I did this process of kind of working my schedule down, I didn't take anything. It was just freeing myself up, to move forward. So I think that's probably step 1. I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you not agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's doable. I like that approach. I would probably look at bringing else somebody to work alongside of me, or an assistant coach, something like that.
The nice thing is if you bring an assistant coach, it was also where I worked, I was actually the only person who was an employee. Everybody else was employees. I was an independent contractor just because I'd been there for so long. But we weren't renting space at the gym or anything like that. So the clients were actually technically the gyms. But if you're in a situation where like you own the clients and you could bring them anywhere and you're renting space at the gym or whatever it is, then it might work for this person to bring on somebody who you really love, who works with people in person, but also helps you with your online clients as well.
Yeah.
Like it could be the same person. And this could be almost a softer landing to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then you can see where that person naturally fits in a little bit better. Very few people are like you're kind of a mutant where you're really good at both. Most people find that they are much better at one than the other. And they might still continue to do both a little bit, but they find that they're much better at one. With the online clients, you got 41.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're happy managing right now? Is that something you want to grow? Is that something you want to shrink? Is that something you want to maintain?
I'd like to grow it. I'm still okay with this current workload, with how how I currently have it set up. I would say that I'm probably getting to the point here pretty soon where I would need somebody to help me out with it.
Yeah.
probably maybe like the 45 mark or 50 around there.
You're past the point. You need somebody now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're past the point. Not to say that you can't handle it, but like you shouldn't get close to the point. So why haven't you brought somebody on yet?
So I wrote this in my questionnaire. Every person that's come through into my business has been from some sort of referral. So I don't have anybody that's completely cold who finds me on Instagram or finds me on the web.
Right.
It's a friend of a friend, it's a physical therapist recommended them to me. So there's always some type of like, oh, I've heard about Ryan. I want to work with Ryan.
Sure.
So like when this person comes in, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna take them on just because I haven't felt like I've built a business to be able to be like, all right, this person wants to come in and work with me, but here I am, I'm going to shoot them off to somebody else.
That's a bullshit story you're telling yourself.
Probably.
You said you've been following me since 2018.
Yeah.
You did the Online Trainer Academy course. How many times did we speak when you did that program?
You and I?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Okay. We've been connected on social media for years, commented back and forth.
Yeah.
You joined this mentorship. Before today, how many times have we spoken?
This is our first time talking like this.
It's because you trusted me. It's not because you wanted to work with me. It's because you trusted me that I would take care of you. That's what people are referring to you for. You've built up trust in your market. When somebody you've worked with or another practitioner or whomever refers a client to you, they're not referring a client for you to count their reps. They're saying, there's a lot of people who say they can help you with this thing. You can trust this guy. You then have permission to pass along that trust. You don't have permission to abuse that trust, but you have permission to pass along that trust. Here's the one thing that I think you need to build in as you start building out your team, though, Ryan. We use Slack. You could use anything, but we use Slack. And we have a number of Slack channels related to the Online Trainer Mentorship. But in Slack, we have a student wins channel. And every single time I log into Slack, I see a whole bunch of screenshots from all of you talking about whatever's happening. It might be a personal obstacle or some self-talk you've been able to overcome. It might be a financial goal. It might be down payment on a house. It might be anything, right? It's some sort of win. Every day, all throughout the day, those are posted in there. I think you're going to need something like that as you grow out your team, just so you can check in and just say, yeah, like we're doing good here.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, man. Ryan, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Amber again, thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's Online Trainer Mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. And if you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 116, Anxiety After Success. It's exciting to hit record sales, but under the excitement, there's a feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It couldn't possibly last, could it? In this episode, you'll learn about how you're sabotaging yourself with moving goalposts, how to quiet the anxiety of losing it all, and how to make your clients the star of the show so they're sharing their success. Again, that's episode 116, Anxiety After Success. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.